you ever had a no-show? Have you ever been ghosted? These things happen because there's something that has gone wrong in the first touch point. What is it that makes you skilled and highly capable at what you do? What are the pieces in your story that give evidence of that? I want to talk today about the sales conversation. Have you ever been ghosted? Have you ever had a non-response after a lead expresses an interest, or perhaps after that first conversation? Have you ever had a no-show or a last-minute cancellation in a sales process when you're expecting a meeting to happen? These things happen because there's something that has gone wrong in the first touch point, the first, and quite likely the very first conversation that you've had. My name is Michèle Soregaroli. I'm a co-founder at Transformation Catalyst here. We're a coaching and consulting company. I'm a master certified coach, and I specialize in working with professional advisors who are looking to be even more masterful at what they do, to create remarkable value for their clients, and also to have a purposeful and rewarding business that really serves their life as well. Thanks for being here today. Our topic at hand is around the introductory conversation to make sure that you don't get ghosted, or that you don't get no response or a last minute cancellation for a follow-up conversation, which I hear a lot. A lot of clients suffer from this. They're like, why did suddenly somebody go dark and not respond to my emails, or to, we had a great first conversation. What happened? So I want to address that today. In a previous video, I had talked about the different parts of the initial sales conversation, the introductory sales conversation. So I'm not going to cover any more of that today, but I want to make sure that you know that in the introductory conversation that you're having with your prospect, that very first part of the conversation has to happen before this next part of the conversation. So go and look at the previous video for that if that's important to you, and we'll put a link to that in the comments below. So you'll be able to find that link to that video. The second part of the sales conversation, and again, this is your very first time meeting this prospect, right? You haven't met them before. So you've had the first part of the conversation, and now you're going into the second part of this conversation, which is when you get to talk about your work. When you get to talk about how you do what you do, and what it is that you do, and why you do what you do. Now, you've probably heard Simon Sinek start with why. He says, always start with why you do what you do, because people buy why you do what you do. They don't buy the how, and they don't buy the what. They buy the why. Okay. So once you understand what your prospect problem is, and once you understand what success looks like for them, you are much better equipped to tailor how you explain your work in the context of what they need and what they're looking for. You're not looking to be artificial. You're not looking to be in any way contrived, or to make suppositions that you cannot substantiate, to make promises that you can't guarantee or deliver on. But we do want you to be equipped with the context you need in order to be able to be confident that you can deliver a masterful and valuable result for your client, right? For this prospect who is considering engaging you. So in this part of the conversation, the first thing you want to do is think about, for yourself, before you enter the conversation, think about what's your backstory? Meaning, what is it that makes you skilled and capable, highly capable at what you do? You're skilled, you're competent, you have a ton of experience. What are the pieces in your story that give evidence of that? Whether it's certifications, training, and ideally experience in certain situations. You want to be able to concisely and accurately describe why you are capable and competent at solving the problem, right? And equipped to do so. The next part actually is where things get really tricky, because most of us, in my experience, most people are afraid to share their own stories around why it's meaningful or important. Why are you passionate about this work? Why do you want to help this prospect? What is it about their situation that lights you up like a firecracker so that you want to go in and solve their problem? What is it that's driving you from a value perspective, meaning you want to change something for them? You want to make their life better. And we want to know why. Why do you want to make their life better? Why do you want to solve this problem for them? Not just because it's your job, not because you want to be the top performer in your office, but because you care. Why do you care? You need to know your story. And if you're willing to share it, it validates the authenticity of your caring. People believe you if you have a story about why you want to help. If you don't have a story about why you want to help, it is harder to believe you because they don't know how much you care, because there isn't that same kind of emotional connection. So in the latter part of the conversation, be free to share your own story as it relates to their situation and why you feel compelled to help them. If you can explain why you feel compelled to help them, and that you have developed a system, a methodology, a structure, a program, a plan, whatever it is, a path forward, if you can articulate your path forward so that they can see that the caring is there and the path forward makes sense, if they can see that, what you're doing there is you're building further rapport, you're reinforcing trust, you're establishing emotional engagement, and you're validating your ability to do it again because you've done it this way before. Anything you can do in that latter part of the conversation, which should only last only a few minutes, depending on the conversation that you're in, but it should represent, I'm going to suggest somewhere in the 15-minute range, or no more than 20 to 25% of the conversation should be your talking, as opposed to receiving the information and doing the questioning, right? So you want to be making sure that however long the conversation is, you're representing probably only 20, 25% of it in terms of how you're delivering your content in the way that you work and what you do. Once you've done that, you can start asking the prospect about what resonates. Like, how does this sound to you? Does this sound like a path forward that makes sense to you? Do you like what you're hearing, essentially? And from there, you're in a position to talk about, okay, what does this look like for you? So you take the first part of the conversation, which is all about them. The second part of the conversation is helping them see that you're equipped and able to serve them and you want to. And then the third, final part of the conversation is roughly drafting a co-created environment or path forward. So you're saying, well, this is kind of what I see it look like. And this is more or less what I'm thinking in terms of how I can help you. Are we on the same page? So that would be the arc of the sales conversation for you that is setting up a second conversation. Once you've done that part, you have established a much deeper level of understanding, trust, and rapport that is likely to have your prospect now feels heard, they feel understood, they feel validated, and they feel curious because they know that you care. So they're more interested in taking this conversation a bit further. If you are struggling with ghosting, people canceling at the last minute, or not showing up or not responding to any of your communications, something has likely happened in that first conversation that did not anchor the prospect's feeling that you are likely a great choice, or that they can trust you to deliver on the result that they want in a way that feels authentic and that they are being honored in the journey. Your prospect wants to feel like they are in a position of choice and they want to feel in control. They do not want to feel sold to. They want to feel understood. They want to feel that you are co-creating and collaborating with them in an effort to solve their problem. And they want to feel like it's going to be efficient, cost-effective, and transformational, right? So I encourage you to think about what's happening in your first conversation. How are you organizing it in such a way that you're creating an environment for your prospect to feel that way before the end of that first dialogue when they've met you for the first time? Thanks for being here. If you have enjoyed this video, and if you know anyone who might value this, someone who's maybe a colleague, a friend, someone who's struggling with their sales process, I invite you to share it. And of course, please subscribe and join us for more videos on this YouTube channel that are directly related to how you can create a more valuable, more rewarding, and more masterful business for yourself and for your clients that you serve. Thanks so much for being here. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.